calculator to simplify. So factorials, remember, are the number times all the numbers that come before it up until 1. I should say integers, but you know. Now, you don't have to write it out quite like this, but if you do, you can see that 5 factorial and 3 factorial, you'll be able to cancel like a 3, a 2, and a 1. Well, 1 is insignificant anyway. And so then all that's left is 5 times 4, which is 20. So you're going to show something like that. Then for the second one, you got 10 factorial, which is 10 times 9 times 8 factorial. So instead of writing 8 through 1, I'm going to just stop there, because the 8 factorial in the denominator will cancel with the 8 factorial in the numerator. And 2 factorial is really just 2 because it's 2 times 1, so let's just write 2 there. Then I can cancel a 10 with the 2, right, and make that 5. And so then I just have what you said, Braden, 5 times 9, which is 45.
Number 2, are we allowed to do by hand?
Whoa, why are you yelling?
Indeed, by hand. Questions on number 1?
No, I don't think so.
Let her have a moment. Let her have a moment.
Sorry,
Question number 2, by hand. You're gonna write it out with the factorials, and then you're gonna do exactly what you did in number 1. So 6 choose 4 is 6 factorial over 4 factorial times 6 minus 4 factorial, which is 2 factorial. This is going to be 6 times 5 times 4 factorial over 4 factorial times 2, because remember 2 factorial is just 2. The 4 factorials cancel.
It's just 15.
And yeah, the 2 can cancel with the 6, because 6 divides 2 3 times. And 3 times 5 is 15. Now you can check it on your calculator, feel free. But I want to see that you know how to do it at least a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, so we can tell for
So you
right?
can check.
Yeah, you can check it. Well, I mean, how am I going to know if you're checking it, right? Like, you're going to have a calculator on the test, so.
Yeah, but you really can't like BS them.
No, that's what I'm saying. I want to know that you can do it by hand, but then go ahead and check it.
I can BS anything.
I just crosses off random numbers. All right.
I literally BS them.
Now the permutations, you do just 5 factorial over,
5 minus 2, right?
yeah, sorry, I forgot the 5 minus 2 factorial.
If you can forget it, I can forget it.
So you just do 5 factorial over the difference of these, and that's 5 factorial over 3 factorial.
So we just go to 3.
So 5, 4, 3, you can stop there. Cancel the 3 factorials, and you have 5 times 4, which is 20.
No, this one's 22.
Well, it's basically the same as like 1a, just not written out like that.
You can't have like fraction in there, right? Like you, like for the 6 and the 4, you can never have like a fraction or.
No. Yeah, and the first number should always be bigger than the second number.
And if it isn't, would that still give no solution?
There's so much.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, that was worse.
Oh god, what's happening?
All right, so for 3A, we are going to just find out how many ice cream sundaes we can make. We're going to pick one flavor of ice cream, we're going to pick one mix-in, and then one type of sauce. So since there's 3 different ice cream flavors and 3 different mix-ins and 2 different sauces, that's 3 times 3 times 2 possible sundaes.
18.
Oh my
18.
god, wait, 9. I just said that 3 times 3 was 6 because 3 plus 3 is 6.
This is your work, this is your answer. I want to see where you got the answer
You
from.
need me to write out 3 times 3 times 2.
I do. Because I know you're cheating next to Sir Frank next to you.
Who's Frank?
I don't know, the guy that sits next to you.
My dad?
Yeah. Now B is going to be a little bit harder, but same general concept. So I'm going to just draw like a little image here. It says how many different lock codes are possible on a lock that uses 3 single digits. So that's 1, 2, 3 single
Would that be
digits.
4 times 3 times 9?
Well, it doesn't say that we can't repeat. How many single digits are there? Technically 10, because you can include 0. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 0. So there's 10 possible for the first, 10 possible for the second, and 10 possible for the third.
But isn't
So
the lock
1,000.
code, it says 3 single digits. For some reason I thought it was 4. That's where I got the 4 from.
I think we did a license plate one like this. We did a.
So how many numbers on a license plate? 6.
It depends. It'll tell you.
But it will tell me. Like,
But it won't tell you how many letters there are. So if you don't know how many letters there are, there's 26. So if the question involves letters, remember there's 26
Worst
letters.
case, I just sit there and I count.
And count. Yeah, exactly. These are going to be either permutations or combinations. They could both be permutations, they could both be combinations, or they could be one of each.
So that's when I wrote a P instead of a C. I'm like, what is it?
In the book Divergent, the Dauntless faction only accepts the top 10 performing initiates. If only 10 people chose Dauntless at initiation, how many top 10s can be arranged? When you have a top 10, does order matter or no? Yes.
Yeah, what?
When you have a top 10, you got person 1, person 2, person 3, etc. So order matters.
So it's
It's a combination.
If order matters, it's a permutation. Okay. We are arranging people in groups, so it's a permutation. How many total people are being referred to?
20.
20 total people, and we're arranging them in groups of,
10.
yeah, top 10s. So that's your permutation. Now for this one, you can use your calculator.
Woo.
So
How do we pull
remember,
up on our calculator again?
so you're going to do menu, probability,
Oh,
and then number 2 is
I
permutations,
did about 20 commas 10.
and then 20 comma 10.
Wait, and then
Woo!
the first one's N, right? Like it's NPR.
I just have a button.
Yeah, the first one's N.
So it's like number total.
Would it matter if you did 10 comma 20?
What are all those numbers?
You
Oh,
can't do
I see,
that.
I see.
No.
Because you're not arranging 10 people in groups of 20. That doesn't make sense.
So you always have to have a bigger number in front.
Basically, yeah.
No, I just didn't know they calculated.
When you have 8 people, so that's your N, no matter what. If this is a permutation or a combination, you have 8 people shaking hands. How many people does it take to shake hands?
12.
2.
2.
What?
2 people. 2 people shake hands. It's like pairing people up. It's the
See,
same
I
kind
thought
of
it was
vague.
like-
So order does not matter. So it's a C.
Yeah, 8 choose 2.
This one you can kind of.
Doesn't matter what order you're shaking hands in, so it's a combination. And again, you can use your calculator if you want. So if you want to use your calculator, this is going to be at menu, probability combinations,
We got 28 boys.
8 comma 2.
Dude, my calculator's better than your guys'.
Actually, I really feel like yours. It looks less confusing.
It's quick and easy.
I think, oh,
There really is.
there's not that many.
I feel like the
I mean,
last two
28
just take
people
up like
hit
an entire page. That's
Because I feel like there's not
Oh, holy
28
crap,
handshakes. I
there's
feel like there's just. There's.
All right, these are a bunch of probability questions. For this one, you're going to leave your answer as a fraction. What is the probability of getting the sum of 6 on one roll of 2 dice? So you roll 2 dice. Die number 1 has options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dice number 2, or die number 2, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many ways can we get a sum of 6?
one here.
1 here, 1 here. We got this one, we got this one, and we got this one. So how many was that?
4, 5.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. Now the denominator, if we roll the first die, we have 6 possible outcomes. When we roll the other die, that one also has 6 possible outcomes. So this is 5 over 36, and then you would simplify it if necessary, like if possible, which is not possible for this, so you just leave it as 5 over
I really
36.
thought that 6 plus 1 was 6. Why is it?
It makes 2 feel like I had 3
6 times 1 is 6.
No, why is it 5 on top?
In a classroom of 6 girls and 6 boys, what is the probability that you will be called in class if you're a boy?
4 over 10.
Good.
Actually,
There's
that's
4
a lot.
boys out of the total people, and then we simplify
5.
to 2 over 5. Good job.
Thanks. Pick up my own.
That's this class, I think.
Yeah, we only took
We're
one
just
quiz,
missing some people.
so-
Well, the juniors have a trip today.
Given a well-shuffled 52 card deck, find the probability that with replacement, so I did one with and one without, drawing a red queen and then another red queen. All right, so let's talk about the cards. How many red queens are there?
2.
2.
Oh my god, yes.
So the probability of getting one is 2 out of 52.
With replacement, so drawing, and then another is
Another two.
So then Yeah, so we put it back, which means the second time the probability would be exactly the same because we put that one back. So there's still 2 red queens and 52 total cards.
I got it, don't worry.
Okay, you can use your calculator.
Wait, what was the rule again? If it was like if
Did you get
add
113 coming? Oh wait, no. Whoa.
1676.
Yeah.
I did that wrong.
1 over 676.
Given our deck of cards again, find the probability that without replacement, so that means we don't put it back, of drawing a 4 and then another 4. So the first probability of drawing a 4 would be what?
12.
How many 4s are in the deck?
Wait, 4.
There's 4, so that's 4
Over 52.
out of 52. Now once we take the first card away,
51.
there's three of those left, and there's only 51 cards in the deck because we drew 1.
Yes, I do. I was gonna give it back to you yesterday.
No, it's not.
So this is 1 over 221. The table shows a record of schools athletes. Okay, so these are people that play one sport or two sport, and for this one we're rounding to the nearest hundredth and leaving it as a decimal. So not a percentage, but a decimal. What is the probability that an athlete plays 2 sports, given that she is a female? So I'm going to rewrite this the way the notation is. So we want probability that an athlete plays 2 sports, given that she is a female. So what number goes in the numerator?
Sounds like 25
The
cores.
175 plus.
Is it 180?
Is it 25?
It's going to be 182. It's going to be the basically combo of these things, like
You have to
sports
add
and
the-
female. So it's going to be 182 as our numerator. And then what goes in the denominator?
The 281.
Where'd you get that?
99 plus 182.
182.
Shouldn't it be all of them added
175
up?
plus.
No, it's just the female added up.
For 356.
Whoop!
Okay, good. I was wrong.
No, you weren't. You said it, and I was like, wait, where'd that come from? But then I realized you did that math ahead of time.
Just use that one in your head.
So when you type it in your calculator, just make sure to get the decimal out of it because it might not give it to you.
It's 0.647.
And yeah.
65.
Oh, so it's going to be 0.648 because after 7 is a 6.
Wait. 100. Oh.
What?
That was the thousandth place, though.
So type it in like you would, and instead of pressing enter, you hit Control Enter.
Going to be 65?
It's 6.5. We're doing hundredths times.
Yeah.
Oh, did it say hundredths? Oh, just kidding. Thanks. I can't even read directions.
JK. Oh my! I want to like. Just
That's interesting. I think on the test I put 3 decimal places. Just read directions. I think that's why I did
try my
that.
best, but, like, I'm really bad at that. Can you do one of those things where, like, on the directions, you like write a little note and it's like a surprise, and you have to like,
Like put a smiley face here for 10
or
points.
tell them in the video, so then the people that actually watch the video will get extra points.
That's funny.
That's good. And then we'll be here to hear it.
All right, next one. What is the probability that an athlete is a female, given that she plays 1 sport? I wrote sports. That's funny.
Grammar.
Grammar. All right. What is the numerator? And how'd you get it?
Just the number of females that play one sport.
Right.
Read this on it today.
So we got females, we got people that play 1 sport. We're looking at females that play 1 sport. That's going to be 99. That's your numerator.
Is it over the same thing?
It's over 249.
No, this time it's over. And how'd you get that?
150 plus 99.
Yeah, so our denominator is just the 1 sport people.
Numbers on my head.
These are the 1 sport people.
269.
It's 249, bro.
It's 49. Sorry.
Um, So put that in your calculator. We got 99 over 150 plus 99. If you plug it in your calculator like this, either use the fraction button like I did, or put this in parentheses. You're not looking at that, sorry.
I was like, what?
Yeah, so either put this in parentheses or use the fraction button, and then you're going to hit Control Enter instead of Enter. So if you're rounding to 2 decimal places, this number is going to be 0.40 because the 7 is going to round this up. Okay.
If I forget the 0 at the end, are you really gonna take points off?
I'm just going to scald you. No, probably not. What is the although I should, because like that kind of tricky stuff might be on the SAT. You got to get in good habits. What is the probability that an athlete plays 2 sports, given that the athlete is a male?
So 175 over whatever 182. I mean, sorry, I lied. Whatever.
No, it'd be 175 plus 182 for the top. No.
No,
No,
just
150
175.
plus 175
Yep.
for the bottom.
So the numerator is 175 because that's the males that play 2 sports, and the denominator is all the males. So that's 175, and then the 150 males that played
So that's
the one sport.
5, 13, 235.
I don't care because I'm going to cheat and use my calculator.
235.
It's 220.
Or 330.
I mean, 225.
So I got, these really should be approximately because we rounded. So 0.54. Okay, last one. What is the probability that an athlete is a male, given that, I have some typos in here, don't I?
I understand.
So that should be a that should be a that. Given that the athlete plays 1 sport. So your numerator is going to be males that play 1 sport. That number is 150. And your denominator is going to be the people that play 1 sport. So that's 150 of males and 99 of females.
What's that one just saying? Oh, it's 149. 249.
I was going to say that doesn't make sense.
You know what? I get it all. I don't get to be harassed like this. I tried my best.
I still can't go to the fact that you said 10
So this is
points today.
0.60.
So there's that.
Yes.
Okay. So for this one, if you want, you can use a calculator. You don't really have to because the numbers are not that bad. But if you want to find the median without the calculator, you have to make sure that these are in order from least to greatest or from greatest to least. I'm going to use the calculator. So we're going to add a page of lists and spreadsheets. I'm just going to call this TV. These are my TV sets. And I'm going to type in the numbers that it gives me. So
Look, Cal and I will wish house for
I was gonna ask you for some.
Here. That one's so funny.
okay. So there's 10 numbers. I'm gonna add a page, calculator. There's a few different ways we can do this. I'm just gonna do kind of the like individual way. So to find just the mean, go to statistics, list math, and then mean. And I called my list TV. Enter. Now I'm gonna put this as, I think, a decimal, just because I think that it makes more sense.
Mine was 3.3.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense as a decimal in this particular case because 33/10 of a TV doesn't make sense to me, but 3.3 as an average number of TVs owned makes sense
You
to me.
about music, or is that just like my mind?
No.
Okay. Just checking.
Now the median for this type of question, since there's 10 things, the middle would be possibly an average of things. So it
It's
could also
3.
be a decimal, but maybe not. It's 3.
Yeah.
So menu, statistics, list math, median,
So is the mode.
T, where's the V? V,
It's like
3.
Just you're so smart.
Yeah, so the mode, you don't do that on the calculator. You just see which one's most frequently occurring. We have 2 4s, but we have 1, 2, 3 3s. So that's the mode. So all of these were about 3. Seems like people have 3 TVs.
How many TVs do I have?
So you don't have work on that one because you're doing it on the calculator. Now,
4.
for number 8, that's funny. Gosh, there's so many typos on this. Using your data from number 7, use your calculator to find the variance and standard deviation. So for these, again, you technically don't have to do this on the calculator. Some people don't have calculators and they'll have to do it the long way. So for the variance, you would take every single one of these points, you'd subtract the mean, which is 3.3, you'd square that and then divide by 10. We don't need to do that if we have a calculator. We can just do menu, statistics, list math, and we're going to do population variance. Yeah, that's 2.01.
I don't know how to find the standard deviation.
So all you have to do for standard deviation is just square root that answer.
Or that.
So
Yeah.
how do you do that with calculator?
Just square root the answer. Oh, you missed that. Sorry. Dang it. You can just hit square root and then hit second, and then the minus sign puts the answer in there.
Hey, Ms. Rowe, how did you find the variance again? Sorry.
1 sec.
Okay.
So,
Mine puts -2 in there.
whoops. So variance and standard deviation, menu, statistics, list math, and then you're going to use population standard deviation or population variance. So I just did population variance and then square rooted the answer to get the standard deviation. But you could go back in here and do population standard deviation and then type in TV and it should give you the same thing. So there's 2 ways to find your standard deviation.
I got 1.42.
Yeah, that's good. So this is sigma squared, just as a reminder. Make a conclusion assuming the data provided shows a normal distribution about a person who owns 3 TVs. If the mean, median, and mode is 3-ish, what can you say about someone who owns 3 TVs?
They're
They're
average.
average.
Yeah. So you would say a person who owns 3 TVs owns an average number of TVs. What if it was like a person who owns 0 TVs?
Below
Be
average.
below average.
Below average, like pretty below average, because the standard deviation's 1.4. So that means the bulk of your TV ownage is going to be like 3 to like 2.6. I guess, or I should say like 3.3. So box and whisker plot, you forget how to do that. That was your quiz thing, that project, which is in 5th grade.
What does that do again? Monday?
All right, so
This you kind of like can't do.
these are already in order.
But
So that's helpful for us. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these. So that means when you divide it in half, it's going to split it up into 4 and 4 things.
That's
So
why I was gonna get 21.
the median or quartile 2 is going to be in between 4 and 4, which is still 4. Okay. If they're not both the same, remember you just average them up. So 4 plus 4 divided by 2, which
quartile 1 is
4.
2.
So quartile 1 is going to be halfway between these 4.
And then quartile 3 is going to be
Okay, so halfway between these 4 is between 1 and 3. So you're going to do 1 plus 3 divided by 2, which is 2.
Do I have to show that or can I just do it? Because I really won't show that.
Show work.
When it's between 5
Halfway
and 5,
between
the
5
answer is 5.
No, that you don't have to show work. Halfway between 5 and 5 is 5. Show work for this one. You don't have to show work for this.
I'm not going to.
Then you're going to do some quick outlier calculations. In order to determine if there's outliers, you need the interquartile range. That can be found by taking Q3 and subtracting Q1. So if Q3 is 5 and Q1 is 2, the interquartile range is 3. Okay, the outlier fences are going to be at Q1 minus 1.5 IQR
Is that Emily?
and Q3, I really hope not, plus 1.5 IQR.
Who?
So Q1 was 2. So 2 minus 1.5 times 3, and this is going to be 5 plus 1.5 times 3. If any of our numbers are at or below this or at or above this, then those will be outliers. So this number is negative 2.5. So that's good because none of our numbers are below that. So there's no outliers there.
Is 1.5 implied?
Implied.
Oh, yeah,
It's like a
it's part of the
formula, I
equation.
suppose, if you want to call it that.
So
Here's the 9.5. We don't have any numbers at or above 9.5, so there's no outliers there. So no outliers. So I'm just gonna do a like little box and whisker plot down here, like a little mini one. So I'm going to call this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then since I have an extra thing here, I'm going to make that an 8. So because our quartile 2, or our median, is 4, I'm going to put a line here for 4. Quartile 3 was 5, put a line here for quartile 3. And quartile 1 is 2. And this is the box of my box and whisker plot.
2, 4, and
2, 4, and 5.
Yay, I finished.
Then we're going to make whiskers at the highest and lowest values. So we have the highest value is 6, and the lowest value is 0. Ta-da! So cute.
Do you draw arrows or
Hmm?
do you draw like end points?
So for this one, you want to make sure that they're in order. So that's going to be 65.
it's 55 first.
Oh, thanks. Already screwed it up. So 55, 65, 74,
There's 2.
another 74, 78, 85, and 88. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data. So right in the middle would split this into 3 and 3. So 74 is quartile 2. Halfway between, so there's 3 numbers here, halfway between here, that would be quartile 1. So 65 is Q1. There's 3 numbers here, halfway between would be 85. That's Q3. Our interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1
You have no outlier.
and then outliers are going to be at Q1 minus 1.5 IQR or Q3 plus 1.5 IQR.
Am I allowed to go by 5?
This is 35. I would just start at a higher number at the very least. Yeah, okay. This is 115. None of our numbers are at or below 35, okay, or at or above 115, so we have no outliers. Now, if we did have one there, you would just put like a little point for any outliers that you have in your box in whisker plot. So yeah, since our smallest value is 55,
I did it by 5s.
Yeah, I went 55, 60.
yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, I guess. So I'll call this 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, and there's nothing really past that, so I'll stop. Okay, quartile 2 is 74. That's going to be like right, so halfway between here, that'd be like 72 and a half. It's going to be like somewhere right here, quartile 2. Quartile 1's 65, that's right here. And quartile 3 is 85, that's right here. So make your box so cute. We'll have a whisker going to our lowest value, which is 55. And a whisker going to our highest value, which is 88. So I'm going to say that's like right here-ish. And we have no outliers. If we had outliers, like let's say someone got 100 on the test and that, or someone did like a lot of bonus points, someone got a 115 on the test, you would put a dot at that outlier. Or we don't have outliers, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so just remember, in addition to making sure you know all of this stuff, you also want to make sure you study Chapter 10. I'm going to put something from Chapter 10 on here. So remember, Chapter 10's conic sections, parabolas, circles, hyperbolas, ellipses. Okay?